Hello Nidorinas and Nidorinos, it is KingNido here and welcome to the minor semi-final where the Fuchsia Royal Gators are looking to redeem their round 17 loss against the Olivine Carbons, who ended the Poison Type's 9-game winning streak. The loser will become our second member of the Elite Four. The winner will move on to the preliminary final, so let us know in the comments below who you think is going to win. Will it be the Poison Types? Will it be the Steel Types? Let's go!
3, 2, 1, go!
That is right, a match where the Fuchsia Royal Gators are looking for redemption. The Olivine Carbons are looking to continue their domination as they start out with Chestnut and Iron Treads. It is Overcool with that Intimidate ability, starting out with Toxapex on the side of the Fuchsia Royal Gators, and immediately with Chestnut on the field, we are going to see a Terrestrial Pokemon here, as it does always become that Steel typing that has been so impressively showing off all season long, really embracing that Steel typing that it has taken on here. And it is Iron Treads with the speed advantage on the field, going with the payback a little bit early to be going for some payback against Toxapex there, but Overquill does respond with the Iron Tail, but Chestnut is able to avoid that attack, and it is going to go with the Will-O-Wisp, focusing in on Toxapex here. So Toxapex is going to be left with that burn. It is going to cut into its attack, which is actually only base 63, as it is going to respond with the Bubble Beam on the Chestnut. Actually gets a good hit there on the previously grass fighting type, but Toxapex is currently feeling the effects of that burn, as Iron Treads is going to throw a present Toxapex's way, and Toxapex is actually going to reap the rewards because it is going to be restored back to full strength, and now we get the Sparkling Aria from Overquill, and this is a brilliant play because it is going to cure Toxapex of its burn, as well as being super effective on Iron Treads and doing damage to Chestnut, as well as Chestnut is going to go with the Water Shuriken in response and gets a critical hit off that first one as well of this multi-hit move, gets a critical hit off the second one. Will it get a critical hit on the third? Unfortunately not, but it does connect 3 times, as Toxapex is going to go and set up the Future Sight here on Iron Treads, so Toxapex does foresee that attack, and Iron Treads is not going to enjoy that, but it goes with the speeds, switching speeds with Overquill here, and Iron Treads is actually the quickest Pokemon on the field, so Overquill must be happy with this, as it goes for the Perish Song. This is a very questionable play here by the Fuchsia Royal Gators. They know, though, they have to keep the Olivine Carbons on their toes, as the Smart Strike from Chestnut is not going to miss, connecting really well with Overquill there. And Toxapex does look to respond by setting up an Aurora Veil, but there is no snow on the field for that to happen, and that Perish count is now going to fall to 3 for everybody on the field, and when that hits 0, you will be eliminated unless you can get back to the bench before then, as the Toxic from Overquill will not work because it doesn't affect the Steel types. Vacuum Wave in response by Iron Treads. Great hit there onto Overquill, and Chestnut looking to follow up those with the Lash Out here onto Toxapex. Does not do much damage to the heavily defensive Toxapex, who responds with the Ice Punch, not very effective there on Chestnut, as the Iron Treads does finally take that Future Sight, but it's not very effective, so Iron Treads tanks that as that Perish count continues to fall, and perhaps this is the Royal Gators trying to throw off the Olivine Carbons, who have a massive type advantage over the Poison types, being immune to Poison type moves, and we get the hold back now onto Iron Treads, which is not very effective there from Overquill, and Iron Treads is going to go with the Avalanche, becoming stronger after having taken damage, almost knocking out Overquill here, but that Discharge will not affect Iron Treads from Chestnut. Very clever play because it's super effective on Toxapex, and it does eliminate Overquill from this match. Toxapex by itself at the moment goes with the Mega Punch onto Iron Treads, not very effective, doing very little damage, and here is that Perish count now falling to 1, so everybody on the field at the moment has 1 turn left. If they can get back to the bench, those out comes Toxtricity in its low-key form, and Iron Treads is going to fly a player into the sky with that fly, but it will not get to finish it off because the Perish count is going to fall to 0. We're going to get the Aero Blast from Toxtricity, but it goes for Iron Treads, who is able to avoid that attack, and this allows Chestnut to go with the Mortal Spin, which is not very effective on Toxtricity. It would normally leave them poisoned as well, but the Poison types can't be poisoned either. That Tail Whip will be avoided by Iron Treads. It does lower the defense of Chestnut, but it doesn't matter because here is that Perish count falling to 0. And just like that, Iron Treads, Chestnut, and Toxapex will be eliminated, so this will reset back to a 4v4 match now, which means the Fuchsia Royal Gators are preventing the Olivine Carbons from building too much momentum as they slowly like to chip away at their opponents. And there is Toxapex being eliminated. Toxtricity is going to be on the field by itself for a short period of time, but now out comes Corviknight for the 11 carbons, and it is going to be joined by a Tinkaton. It will be Sneasler coming out to join Toxtricity on the side of the Fuchsia Royal Gators, and that Unnerve ability from Corviknight makes the Royal Gators too nervous to eat their berries. That Mold Breaker ability on Tinkaton is the entrainment here from Sneasler onto Corviknight is going to give it that Poison Touch ability, which is completely irrelevant for Corviknight because, as I said, the Poison types can't be poisoned just like the Steel types, but the Wild Bolt Storm does connect on Sneasler and Toxtricity. Not very effective there on Toxtricity, who does look to respond with the Facade onto Tinkaton. Not very effective. Gets an okay hit. Get some chip damage in there as Corviknight with the Payday, trying to make that money going for Toxtricity here. And Sneasler is going to respond by going with the Phantom Force, so immediately it vanishes from the field. Tinkaton needs to go for Toxtricity with this Inferno, but Toxtricity is even able to avoid that attack, and this allows Toxtricity to go with the Hydro Pump onto Corviknight. A great hit on the Flying Steel type, who does look to respond with the Toxic, and yet again, these two sides are trying to poison each other, which does not matter as the Phantom Force onto Tinkaton. A great hit there from Sneasler as Tinkaton does look to respond with the Heal Bell, but there is no status condition on Corviknight, so that bell chimes, but unfortunately it does fail, and this allows Toxtricity to go with the Thrash. Not very effective, but does get some chip damage on Tinkaton there, as the Sweet Kiss, and this very Sweet Kiss onto Toxtricity is going to leave it confused. It doesn't know why Corviknight is planting kisses on its cheek there. And Sneasler with the Scary Face here onto Tinkaton, who is actually part Fairy type, does have its speed lowered, but that Steel typing prevents it from having to worry about those Poison types being super effective, as Toxtricity is unable to shake off its confusion. It does do damage to itself. That's always unfortunate to see as Corviknight throws out the Toxic Spikes. What are they thinking in this match? The Poison types will just absorb them when one of them comes out onto the field. And now we get the Fusion Flare though from Tinkaton. Looks like it's going to go for Toxtricity. Toxtricity is able to hold on. It has been put into knockout range though. Sneasler throws out the Stealth Rocks onto the side of the Olivine Carbons. So now any Pokemon that comes out for that side will be taking damage from those Pointed Stones, as Toxtricity needs to shake off this confusion or it will eliminate itself. And it is successful. It goes with the Flame Charge onto Tinkaton and gets the super effective elimination. The Fuchsia Royal Gators have just taken the lead, as Toxtricity also gets the speed boost in the process. They need to take game one here to prove to themselves that they can defeat the Olivine Carbons and get a bit of redemption, but that Tri-Attack, a perfect response there by Corviknight, eliminating Toxtricity, and now out comes Fortress for the Olivine Carbons. It will be Toxicroak for the Fuchsia Royal Gators. Those Poison Spikes do disappear from the side of the Royal Gators. The Pointed Stones do dig into Fortress. And now Sneasler is going to put Fortress to sleep with that single, which is a fantastic play because Fortress and Corviknight have been a fantastic duo this season. The Shell Side Arm will not work on Fortress. Again, Steel types are immune to Poison type moves, but the Tailwind from Corviknight is going to boost the speed of the Steel types with that wind blowing from behind them, but Fortress unfortunately cannot capitalize because it is fast asleep on the field. But Corviknight looking to capitalize, goes with the Gigaton Hammer onto Sneasler, and Sneasler is eliminated. A fantastic connection there by Corviknight there, and Fortress has no idea what just happened because it's still fast asleep on the field, but the Carbons have taken back the lead, and Toxicroak though with the Forest's Curse is going to add that Grass typing to Corviknight, making it even weaker than it already is to Fire type moves, as out comes Muck in its Alola form for the Fuchsia Royal Gators. That magical leap onto Toxicroak is not very effective from Corviknight, and Fortress has awoken, looking to capitalize. It does go with the Barb Barrage onto Toxicroak, not very effective there. It does do some chip damage as Toxicroak responds with the Esper Wing here onto Corviknight, not very effective, but it is going to boost that speed of Toxicroak, and Muck looking to follow it up is going to go with the Aqua Cut. It looks like they're focusing in on Corviknight here, even though that was not very effective. Corviknight is going to respond with the Quick Attack onto Toxicroak, and Toxicroak is now quicker than Fortress, goes with the Whirlwind. This is going to send Fortress back to the bench, and then drags out Awesome, who immediately will have those Pointed Stones digging into it. And if Fortress comes back out onto the field, it will be receiving that damage, as well as the Slam from Muck is avoided by Corviknight. And that Tailwind does peter out, but Toxicroak, being the quickest on the field, goes with the Ivy Cudgel. Not very effective there on Corviknight. Resist it with the Flying type, resist it with the Grass type, and resist it with the Steel type, as Muck is immune to that move from Corviknight, as is Toxicroak, and the Sweet Kiss now being put onto Toxicroak by Orthworm. So now Toxicroak is going to have to shake off its confusion, or it's going to be doing damage to itself, just like Toxicity. And Muck now with the clanging scales connects with both Corviknight and Orthworm, but not very effective, and Muck does lower its defense to do so, as Toxicroak needs to shake off this confusion here. And it is successful, and it's going to go with the Crab Hammer onto Orthworm. Does get a good hit there, as well as Corviknight is going to respond with the Force Palm. This will be resisted by Toxicroak here, thanks to that poison typing, and Orthworm is going to follow up with the Memento. Orthworm's going to take itself out to lower those offensive stats of Toxicroak here. This is a risky play, but it is game 1 in this best of 3 series, as it is now a 2 versus 2 matchup. And Muck now with the Leaf Storm, heavily resisted by Corviknight, but it is in knockout range as Muck does lower its special attack to do so. And here is Fortress coming back out onto the field, and those pointed stones yet again digging into it, as Toxicroak has snapped out of its confusion at this crucial time, and it is going to go with the Haze on the field now as well, eliminating those stat changes that have taken place. And Corviknight is going to go and set up the grassy terrain, and this is... Corviknight is the only Pokemon that this does not benefit, because everybody who's taken damage and has their feet planted firmly on the ground will have their health restored, as the Muddy Water now from Muck. Fortress avoids the attack, but Corviknight not so lucky, but it is still holding on after that not very effective move. Fortress is going to go for the Spite here on the Toxicroak, trying to cut into its PP, so that will have to eat its Leopard Berry and eventually try and get it to struggle and do damage to itself, as Toxicroak does have some health restored, as does Fortress. And Toxicroak now with the Lash Out. They're trying to get Corviknight off the field, and it does. Corviknight is eliminated. Fortress is by itself with the 2 poison types. Muck looking to follow up goes with the Thunder Wave. They're trying to prevent Fortress from being able to move, as well as slowing it down, although it only has the base speed of 40. But Fortress needs to shake off this paralysis. That it does, and it's now going for the payday. It definitely wants to try and make that money in this matchup, try and get that game 1 victory, as we get our first time winning as well. And if we do go... If that timer does hit 0, we will go into overtime, as the Psy Strike is not very effective on a Fortress from Toxicroak. Muck is going to follow it up with the Freeze Dry. They're going on the offensive, trying to get the elimination. They do not want to go into the single battle overtime, as Fortress is unable to move due to its paralysis. And that is right, if we do go into overtime, every Pokemon who has not been eliminated will be restored to full health, and it will become a singles battle, as the Steel Roller from Toxicroak, not very effective on Fortress. This will cause the grassy terrain to clear from the battlefield. And our second time warning, as the Sky Shield Bash from Muck, not very effective on Fortress. They're getting in that chip damage though, as Muck does boost its defense in the process. Fortress is going to respond with the high jump kick. It does connect. That poison typing prevents it from being super effective, as the Spatial Run from Toxicroak on Fortress puts it in knockout range. It wasn't very effective though, as Muck follows it up with the foul play, and Fortress is eliminated. The Future Rule Gators have taken game 1. They've proven they can defeat the Olivine Carbons. And they do get the redemption for that round 17 loss, as now the battlefield has been reset. It is Glamora and Goodra starting out for the Future Rule Gators. It's Copperajah and Goodra in its Hisuian form starting out for the Olivine Carbons. It is the Colosian Goodra, the Terrestrial Pokemon that is on the Future Rule Gators, taking on that poison typing. It does shed that dragon typing that it normally has, and it was the Hisuian Goodra that ran the gauntlet against the Future Rule Gators the last time these two sides met up, as the Ancient Power from Glamora going for the pseudo legendary, not very effective on the Hisuian Goodra, as the poison type Goodra with the Psychic Noise onto Copperajah, not very effective, but it is going to make it so Copperajah is prevented from healing for the time being. And it is the steel type Goodra with the Glare here, and it is going to leave Glamora with that paralysis that we just saw on Fortress. It needs to shake that off, as well as being slowed down in the Crush Claw on a Goodra. A great hit there from Copperajah, as Goodra, the poison type, is going to respond with the conversion to, but that will fail. And this allows the Hisuian Goodra to try and capitalize. It does set up the Wonder Room on the field here, and this is going to make it so everyone's defense and special defenses do get swapped, and Glamora is unable to move due to its paralysis. The Olivine Carbons can capitalize here, as Copperajah is going to go with the charge, trying to make any electric type moves that next goes for stronger, as it begins charging power and it boosts its special defense in the process. And Copperajah is also no longer prevented from healing, as the rollout is being performed by the poison type Goodra. Not very effective on Copperajah though, but this will get stronger every time it connects. And the Ice Beam from the Hisuian Gudra, a great hit there onto Glimmora, and Glimmora yet again is unable to move due to its paralysis. And if it takes any physical damage, remember it's got that Toxic Debris ability. Speaking of which, the Brick Break onto Glimmora does throw the Toxic Spikes out on the side of the Olivine Carbons, but unfortunately it doesn't matter because again the Steel types are immune to being poisoned. And that rollout continues to go for Copperajah. It is still not very effective, but it is getting stronger as the Shadow Claw onto Glimmora puts it into knockout range there from the Hisuian Gudra, yet again setting up the Toxic Spikes, which are unfortunately relevant. And now we see a Tailwind being performed by the Fuchsia Royal Gators being set up there by Glimmora. This is going to help that speed of the Royal Gators as the Syrup Bomb is going to finish Glimmora off there by Copperajah. Glimmora, the first one eliminated from this second match. And out in its place comes Muck, this time in its Cantonian form as Gudra continues with the rollout, continuing to go for Copperajah. It is trying to chip away at it here as it's followed up by the Giga Drain onto Copperajah from Muck, which is also not very effective. And now it is the Hisuian Gudra with the Flash Cannon onto its fellow Gudra, putting it into knockout range. It holds on the shelter from Copperajah. It doesn't go for the easy elimination. Instead, it is going to boost its defense a great deal, which is only base 69. As that rollout continues from Gudra, and it's followed up by the Water Gun onto Copperajah. And now we have Gudra in its Hisuian form, setting up the Stealth Rocks, this time on the side of the Fuchsia Royal Gators. So many entry hazards being set up, but the Pointed Stones will be floating on the side of the Royal Gators this time. The Quiver Dance follow-up by Copperajah is going to boost its special attack and its special defense now, as well as its speed. I don't know if it'll be any quicker though with that Tailwind still in effect as Gudra gets that 5th rollout and finally gets the elimination of Copperajah after 5 consecutive rollouts. Greatly played there by Gudra. And speaking of Gudra, the Hisuian Gudra does take damage from the Vice Grip, which is not very effective, and that GUI ability does get activated, lowering the speed of Muck. As the Fly now from the Hisuian Gudra. Have you ever seen a Hisuian Gudra so high up in the sky and with no wings, as well as the Tailwind does peter out, and out comes Lucario onto the side of the Olivine Carbons, immediately with the Echo Voice onto Muck. Muck taking its first damage, and Gudra responds with the Psyblade, capitalizing on that part fighting typing of Lucario. Gets a great hit, and the Hisuian Gudra will finish off its fellow Gudra with that Fly. The Terrestrial Pokemon has been eliminated, so now when I say Gudra, I am just talking about the Hisuian form, the Steel Dragon typing, as Muck is going to go for the Water Pulse onto Lucario. Good hit there, as the Olivine Carbons have taken back the lead, and Lucario is left confused. It needs to shake that off, as we saw in the previous match. And Muck is joined by its fellow Muck in its Alolan form, who does land in those Pointed Stones. Lucario, as I said, is confused. It needs to shake it off. It is successful, and it's going to go with the spin out, going for the Alolan Muck here. A fantastic hit as well, but Lucario does greatly lower its speed in the process. It is the Hisuian Gudra following it up with the Defog. This is going to lower the evasiveness of the Alolan Muck here, as well as clearing the Pointed Stones and the Poison Spikes from the field. I'm not sure that was a good play, as the Alolan Muck is going to go with the Parabolic Charge. It does do damage to its teammate, but it does damage to everyone on the field, and in the process does restore a little bit of health, which could actually be really intelligent because the Alolan Muck has already taken a great deal more damage than the Cantonian Muck on the field, as these two Pokemon run amok at the moment. But the Olivine Carbons are in control, as the Cantonian Muck is going to vanish from the field instantly, going for their Shadow Force, which means Gudra needs to go for the Alolan Muck with that slash, but it goes for the Cantonian, who is able to avoid that attack, and this allows the Alolan Muck to go with the Spark onto Lucario, and Lucario is eliminated with a critical hit, and just like that, the Fuchsia Royal Gators have leveled the playing field in this matchup, taking out Lucario, and Muck is going to finish off its Shadow Force onto Gudra. And that is a fantastic hit. Yet again, that GUI ability does get activated, but I do not think Muck minds having its speed stat lowered. And speaking of speed, out comes Iron Treads onto the field for the Olivine Carbons, immediately with the Bubble Beam onto the Cantonian Muck. Muck is able to tank that move as Gudra follows it up with the Mystical Power though. super effective hit there onto the Cantonian Muck, and it's going to boost that special attack of Goodra in the process. That's already base 110, and the Mud Shot now onto Iron Treads is super effective from the Alolan Muck. Now also lowers the speed of Iron Treads, that's base 106, and it's followed by the Mountain Gale, but Goodra is able to avoid that attack, and this allows Iron Treads to go with the Absorb, taking a tiny bit of health there from the Alolan Muck. Not very effective, but Iron Treads is able to restore a little bit of health from that, and that could be crucial if it's able to hold on, if it takes any massive hits. And it's followed up by the Leech Life as well. They are trying to take all the health from Muck here, as Goodra is also going to have a little bit of health restored in the process, but that Cantonian Muck is still holding on, and the Alolan Muck with the Fire Pledge onto Goodra, that Dragon typing preventing it from being super effective. And now the Lava Plume from the Cantonian Muck, super effective on Iron Treads, critical hit even, and Iron Treads and Goodra are both in knockout range, and Goodra has been left with a burn. It's going to have its attacks that cut into, but it's also feeling the effects of that burn, which will surely eliminate it in a number of turns. But first, Iron Treads is going to go for the Magnetic Flux, but that will fail, no one with that plus or minus ability. And Goodra with the hard press onto the Alolan Muck here, and Muck tanks that move and responds with the Flail, and Goodra is eliminated with that not very effective move, but it was effective enough to get the elimination and put the Fuchsia Royal Gators back in front. And if they get the victory in this second matchup, remember that means the Oliver Incumbents are eliminated from Victory Road, eliminated from the Championship Series, and the Fuchsia Royal Gators will go into our preliminary final as out comes Orthworm immediately with the Hurricane onto the Alolan Muck. And with that critical hit, it gets the perfect response elimination, and Iron Treads follows it up with the Sticky Whip. So whoever comes out and lands in that will immediately have their speed stat lowered. They are trying to keep the speed control on the side of the Olivine Carbons, as Muck with the Flame Wheel onto Iron Treads immediately puts the Fuchsia Royal Gators back in front. That is exactly what the Royal Gators need, as out comes Corviknight for the Olivine Carbons. It is Sneasel that is going to be caught in that sticky web here, but it's got that pressure ability that it will be exerting over the field, and the Olivine Carbons are feeling that pressure right now, as Sneasel with the Vine Whip onto Corviknight. Very minimal damage there onto Corviknight, who is going to respond with the Giga Drain, finishing Muck off everybody, sapping Muck of its health until there is no more. And Corviknight gets itself back to full strength with that as well, and Orthworm looking to capitalize goes with the Shelter, so now it's going to boost its defenses a great deal here on the field, as it is now down to a 2 versus 2 battle yet again, and it's Toxicroak coming out for the Fuchsia Royal Gators. They have that fighting typing that is great against Orthworm, but Corviknight has that flying typing, as the Solar Beam is going to be set up by Sneasel. It's going to absorb the light on this turn. Corviknight looking to capitalize, goes with the Pluck. This is going to be super effective on Toxicroak, massive damage, and takes its Leopard Berry in the process and proceeds to eat it right in front of it. That terrible, nasty move, stealing its food. And Orthworm with the Supercell Slam gets a great hit there on the Sneasel, as Toxicroak is going to go with the low sweep onto Corviknight, capitalizing on that fighting typing, but the mirror arm, on that steel typing, but the mirror armor ability actually causes Toxicroak's speed to lower, as that Solar Beam is not very effective on Orthworm. And Corviknight with the Mega Horn now onto Toxicroak, puts it in knockout range with that not very effective move. Orthworm could capitalize, it goes for the Strength onto Sneasler instead and puts Sneasler into knockout range. Toxicroak with the Retaliate onto Orthworm, not very effective. Orthworm tanks that move. The Olivine Carbons are in control, but Sneasler with the speed advantage goes with the Quiver Dance on the field. It is going to boost its special attack, but it needs to go on the offensive, boosting its special defense. Not that that really matters at the moment. It does boost its speed, but it has that advantage. Corviknight with the extra Sensory is going to eliminate Toxicroak with that quad super effective move. And Orthworm could follow it up here. Goes with the Water Spout. And that will complete the huge play to give the Olivine Carbons Game 2. We are going into a Game 3, which means whoever wins Game 3 will be moving on to the preliminary final. This is everything to play for with a field reset. And yet again, it is Goodra and Copperrush starting out for the Olivine Carbons. It's Toxtricity and Glamora starting out for the Fuchsia Royal Gators, and Glamora with the Body Slam, focusing in on the Pseudo-Legendary here with that not very effective move. Goodra tanks it, but Toxtricity follows it up, and it is going to fly up high into the sky, which means the Steel types need to focus in on Glamora, as the Air Cutter from Goodra is going to be avoided by Toxtricity, but it will connect with Glamora for not very effective damage. And Copperaja follows it up now with the Alluring Voice, but it does go for Toxtricity, which is great for the Royal Gators, as Glamora goes with the agility. It's going to give itself a great speed boost, but it's already the quickest Pokemon on the field with that base 86 speed. Toxtricity finishes off the fly onto Copperajah. It does get a good hit with that not very effective move. Critical hit, in fact. And Goodra, looking to respond, does go for the Brave Bird, its own flying type move. Not very effective, but does get a good hit on Toxtricity. However, gets a little bit of recoil damage. Copperajah, looking to follow it up, is going to go with the Swagger. Looks like yet again they're trying to leave Toxtricity in a confused state, but in the process they have boosted its attack. So if it does do damage to itself, it will be more so than usual, but still with that boosted attack, it is risky. It's the Roost now from Glamora. It is going to restore itself back to full strength. Not that it's taken much damage so far, but Toxtricity now needs to shake off this confusion. And unfortunately, it's unsuccessful, doing massive damage to itself. It does have that base 98 attack, as Goodra follows it up by setting up a light screen on the field. It is going to make the Elevon Carbon stronger against special type moves. And Copperajah now with the Poison Fang onto Glamora, which is not very effective whatsoever, and Glamora is going to respond with the Tachyon Cutter onto Copperajah. Connects with the first one, connects with the second one, but it is not very effective, however. Now Toxtricity really needs to shake off this confusion, but even better, it is snapped out of that confusion, and it is going to go with the Mud Slap onto Goodra. Super effective, but very little damage. The more important part is it has lowered the accuracy here of Goodra, who is going to go with the Feather Dance. And with that, it's now going to lower that attack stat of Toxtricity. Now they know that it's not going to be doing any damage to itself. But the Malignant Chain on the Glamora is not very effective today from Copperajah. And it does respond with the Brick Break, breaking that light screen onto Goodra. It's also super effective as well. And now Toxtricity can follow it up with the Shockwave onto Goodra, putting it in knockout range with that not very effective move, and Goodra is going to respond with the Mega Horn, going for Toxtricity here, and Toxtricity is able to hold on off that not very effective move, but it's an easy target in knockout range, and the Nuzzle from Copperajah is going to finish off Toxtricity, and this is why the Elevon Carbons have started out with Copperajah, and Goodra yet again is now out comes Overquill for the Royal Gators, and that Intimidate ability is going to cut into the attack stat of both Goodra and Copperajah. Glamora now is also going to go with the Night Slash onto Goodra, and immediately they have taken out the Pseudo Legendary in response, immediately leveling the playing field, and the follow-up Frenzy Plan as well from Overquill onto Copperajah. Not a great deal of damage with that not very effective move, and this allows Copperajah to set up another light screen on the side of the Elevon Carbons. They do not want to be taking much damage from those special moves, as now out comes Tinkaton onto the field with that Mold Breaker ability. And it is the Hypnosis from Glamora that will be avoided by Copperajah here, and Tinkaton, looking to capitalize, goes with the Stun Spore on the Glamora. This is going to cut into that boosted speed, slowing it down here on the field and potentially making it unable to move with that paralysis, as Overquill has to recharge from the Frenzy Plan, and this allows Copperajah to go and set up the Sandstorm. Now Glamora does not have to worry about this, as the Sandstorm does get kicked up, but Overquill will be taking damage from that Sandstorm in between turns, and it is Tinkaton now with the Zing Zap onto Overquill, gets a good hit there, and Glamora is unable to move due to its paralysis, which is great for the Elevon Carbons. But first, Overquill with the Infernal Parade on the Copperajah does not do much damage, and this allows Copperajah to respond by setting up an Electric Terrain on the field here. Be interesting to see if anyone can capitalize with some electric type attacks, as that electric current does run across the field, and Overquill is still taking damage here from the Sandstorm. Tinkaton with the Arm Thrust as well, capitalizing on that part dark typing of Overquill. This multi-hit move, if it can get all 5, it will end up doing quite a bit of damage to Overquill here. It's got 3, it's got 4, it's gonna go for the 5th, and it connects for a 5-time connection. Fantastic play there by Tinkaton, as Glamora is gonna shake off its paralysis and go with the Draco Meteor, but it doesn't affect Tinkaton with that part Fairy typing being immune to Dragon type moves. The Peck now from Overquill is not very effective on Tinkaton, and Copperajah is going to go with the Pound now onto Overquill, as Overquill continues to take extra damage from that Sandstorm still being on the field, and Tinkaton is going to go with the Sand Tomb. Super effective hit there onto Glamora, and it is going to trap it in that Quicksand, so it will be taking passive damage as Glamora responds with the Mean Look here onto Tinkaton. It is going to make it so Tinkaton can no longer escape. Not that it was looking to go anywhere. And Overquill follows it up with the Fire Fang. Super effective hit there. Massive damage onto Tinkaton. Copperajah there with the Horn Leech. Great hit on Glamora there. Putting it in knockout range, and Copperajah is able to have some health restored in the process, as Overquill is still holding on being put into knockout range by that Sandstorm, and there is the Sand Tomb doing damage to Glamora, as well as that light screen has worn off of the Olivine Carbons. Tinkaton capitalized, goes with the Aqua Cutter, and Overquill is eliminated, putting the Olivine Carbons back in front, as this is game 3, everything to play for, but Glamora is going to ride that Surf, putting both Tinkaton and Copperaja in knockout range. Copperaja, though, with the Psychic Noise, is going to get the elimination of Glamora with that super effective move, completing the huge play. It is a 3 versus 5 matchup of both Tinkaton and Copperaja are easy targets. As that Sandstorm has subsided, out comes that Cantonian Muck and the Colosian Goodra taking on that Terrestrial form for the future Royal Gators. They need to capitalize on these quick eliminations to immediately level the playing field and make it a 3 versus 3 matchup. Otherwise, the Olivine Carbons could potentially run away with this game 3 matchup here. And Tinkaton with the speed control goes with the Vine Whip, not very effective there onto the Poison type Goodra, and activates that gooey ability, so Tinkaton does get slowed down, and Goodra is going to go with the Tachyon Cutter onto Copperaja. Copperaja is able to hold on from the first one, but the second one will get the elimination. It was not very effective, but as I say, effective enough to get the job done. And Muck, with the potential to complete the huge play, is going to go with the Waterfall and successfully completes the huge play, leveling the playing field. That's what the Royal Gators needed to immediately take out Tinkaton and Copperaja. It is now a 3 versus 3 matchup. Whoever loses becomes a member of the Elite Four. Whoever wins moves on to the preliminary final. It is Fortress and Chestnut coming out onto the field now for the Olivine Carbons. We have 2 terrestrial Pokemon on the field right now, going head to head. Fortress with that fantastic season. Muck has been an absolute surprise. I cannot wait to see what happens, and we still don't even know who the remaining Pokemon on the bench is. Goodra with the Flame Wheel. This is going to be super effective on the Fortress. Massive damage, capitalizing on the Bug typing as well as the Steel typing. The Ingrain from Chestnut. It's going to plant those roots so it can restore health if it takes any damage, and Muck is going to go with the first impression, but it is too late to be making first impressions in this match by Muck. And Fortress with the Flying Press here on the Muck. Not very effective. Gets an okay hit though, but Goodra is going to go with the Moonblast. Now going for Chestnut. Not very effective. Would have been if it hadn't taken on the Terrestrial form. As the Double Edge now onto Muck from Chestnut. A fantastic hit, and there is some recoil damage for Chestnut. And Muck is going to go and set up the Cotton Spore on the side of the Olivine Carbons, and this is going to slow down both Chestnut and Fortress. Wonder if Muck can now move quicker than Chestnut, as Fortress is going to go with the Jaw Lock onto Muck, putting it in knockout range, and neither of them can run away. Not that they were looking to go anywhere. They want to keep going through victory road. They want to get to the Champions game. As Goodra now with the Fiery Dance, it's going to go for Chestnut with this. It could get the elimination, but Chestnut holds on after that super effective move. Goodra gets the special attack burst. Muck could finish it off though. It goes with the Misty Explosion. Muck has just taken itself out of the match. It takes Chestnut with it, but it's not very effective on Goodra. Fortress takes a little bit of damage, but Muck is eliminated. It is a 2 versus 2 matchup. That is a massively risky play. We don't know what Pokemon are in the back. Fortress could capitalize here. Goes with the Dragon Tail on to Goodra. This is going to send Goodra back to the bench, but first Fortress does have its speed lowered. Goodra will be coming back out onto the field very, very shortly, but first its final teammate will get dragged out on the field, and it is Toxapex as the last Pokemon for the future Royal Gators being dragged out. It is going to be Lucario coming out for the Olivine Carbons, and here is Goodra coming back out onto the field, causing that sun to disappear as Lucario with the Topsy-Turvy, but that does fail, and this is great for the Royal Gators because it allows Goodra to try and capitalize. Goes with the Slash. Fortress takes minimal damage. It's put into knockout range, so Toxapex could capitalize. It goes with the Screech instead. It's going to greatly lower the defense of Fortress, not that it has much health to work with. And Fortress with the Simple Beam is going to change that Gooey ability of Goodra to the Simple ability. This is a very risky play this late in the matchup if Goodra gets enough of it. A stat boost, but the tackle here onto Toxapex from Lucario is followed up by Goodra going with the close combat onto Lucario, and it is a one-hit wonder, a super effective elimination of Lucario. Goodra cuts into both of its defenses greatly to do so, but Toxapex follows up with the Fairy Wind onto Fortress. Fortress is able to hold on from that not very effective move. It needs to get some quick eliminations. It goes with the Esper Wing on to Toxapex. Super effective hit, but Toxapex is still holding on. Fortress gets the speed boost. It could be the quickest on the field, but it isn't. Gudra, with the Morning Sun at this crucial time, is going to restore its health. It should get itself back to full strength as well. And Toxapex follows it up with the Synthesis. And this is terrible for Fortress because it is an easy target, and these two Pokemon are practically at full strength. And Fortress, with the Flare Blitz, knew what was going to happen. It almost takes out Gudra, but that recoil damage eliminates Fortress, and the Fuchsia Royal Gators get the win over the Olivine Carbons. The Olivine Carbons have been eliminated from Victory Road. They were out of the Championship Series. They are our second member of the Elite Four, but the Fuchsia Royal Gators will move on to our preliminary final to face off against the Heart Home Spectres. I cannot believe those two sides will be going head to head to determine who goes into our Champions game. But until then, Nidorinas, Nidorinos, thank you so much for watching. Let us know in the comments below who you thought was the best on field, and if you enjoyed what you saw, please leave a like, share, subscribe, but more importantly, always remember, you are awesome, and I'll see you when you see me.